So I want to talk a little bit about how you need to eat if you have adrenal fatigue. The number one issue has to do with blood sugar control. You see, your adrenals, right, their main job, what cortisol mainly is called on to do, is actually to balance your blood sugar. So every time your blood sugar drops, right, like if you were to miss a meal, well, that's a stimulus to your HPA axis, ends in the adrenals. The adrenals release cortisol. Cortisol goes to the liver and tells the liver to release a stored form of sugar, get into the blood so you don't pass out from hypoglycemia. Every time that happens, that's a stimulus, that's a stress to the adrenals. And it can be a constant stress if the adrenals are weak and they can't perform that action. So if you can eat a diet that prevents your blood sugar from dropping, that's a major stress you're taking away from the adrenals. You're basically scooping that big stressor out of that bucket. So the way you need to eat if you have adrenal fatigue is what we call a hypoglycemic diet, which technically is low sugar diet, but it's really just a blood sugar balancing diet, hypoglycemic diet. So there's three main tenets in a hypoglycemic diet: small frequent meals, protein and fat with each meal, low sugar and carb. I'm going to touch on each one real quick. Smaller meals are easier to digest. Chances are your digestion is suppressed, just like most of my patients, because that's what being stuck in fight or flight does, right? So we want to be nice to your digestion, we'll give it small meals. But if you're eating smaller meals, you're going to run out of fuel faster, so we have to tighten up the meal times. So minimally, this is 3 meals a day. Better yet, a meal and a snack kind of a pattern, right? Small breakfast, snack. Small lunch, snack. Small dinner, snack. That snack before bed is crucial, okay? Because that helps stabilize the blood sugar overnight, right? Which is one of the main reasons actually we wake up at night, or a lot of my patients wake up at night. Everybody's blood sugar drops overnight, right? Well, that's a minor stress. And for most people, they generate a minor response and they sleep through it, right? For those of us with adrenal problems, that's a minor stress. Major response, now you could be sitting wide awake like a tiger just jumped out at you just because your blood sugar dropped. So this snack before bed can really help. Now, if you're eating 6 times a day, you can't eat normal sized meals 6 times a day and stay the same size either, right? So small meals, like I'm talking like a snack could be even a couple bites of something, okay? Small meals throughout the day. Now, what you eat matters because what you eat is going to turn into fuel at a certain rate. Protein and fat turns into fuel more slowly. Slower it goes up, slower it goes down. That's what we want. Protein and fat most easily comes in animals and animal products, right? Meat, fish, seafood, dairy, eggs, any of that stuff. Get a variety, right? Get the healthiest stuff you can get. But it's much easier to control this diet when you're eating some of those animal proteins. Can you do it with vegetarian sources? Yeah, nuts and seeds and nut butters, and avocado has some fat. So there's some things you can filter in there, but it's a little easier if you're eating animal products. So we want more of those and then less of the other stuff, the sugar and carb, which turns into fuel much faster. The faster it goes up, the faster it comes down. Now we want more sugar and carb, right? So we get on this roller coaster. Most of us know the simple sugars are not so good for us, right? All the cookies and cakes and pastries and candies and soda pop and ice cream and all that stuff, right? So you want to minimize that, right? You really do. You want to minimize that. Where most of us get in trouble is the carbs, the starches, the grain-based carbs, especially cereals, bread, pasta, but even rice, corn, potato, all that starchy stuff. You can still have those things. You just want to have less, okay? Sometimes much less, but just less. So if we were looking at your plate, small plate, you got a little bit of animal protein and fat, right? So a little animal protein, a little veggie or fruit, and then the starch is kind of like this afterthought, right? Small frequent meals, protein and fat with each meal, low sugar and carb. And what that does is that helps the adrenals. It takes at least that job off the plate of your adrenals, right? Scoop that out of the bucket. And I've seen actually just people doing a hypoglycemic diet actually help their anxiety just because you're eliminating a stimulus. right? See, every time that adrenal is stimulated, right, it overreacts, right? So let's control as many of those variables as we can, and eventually this thing frees up. Hypoglycemic diet, first and foremost, as far as dietary priorities.